Hello YouTube, I was asked to do a Mosaic Sin build, or Disco Sin as some people know it as, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. We're going to start off by showing the gear. We have two Mosaic claws. These you're going to want Phoenix Strike, Blades of Ice, and you could do like Weapon Block, or even a Lightning Sentry if you just want to pop those up occasionally. There's lots of different skills that would be handy on these two claws, so whatever you have is probably fine. It really doesn't matter that much. I mean, damage output will be higher. However, you could see here I only have +2 to Phoenix Strike on each of these, and it still does a ton of damage. It's still very, very useful. So you don't need to do that to be powerful and useful. It's just helpful if you can get it. Next up, we have the Griff's Eye Diadem. Now, you can run this with the Sin. You can also run like Nightwings, or you could run something like Flickering Flame. You don't have to run Griffs. I'm running Griffs because I'm breaking the 102% faster cast rate. For me, that's a better option because I like teleporting around faster than I do needing more damage. I find that this build doesn't necessarily need more skills or more damage per se. It's not really that important. So that's just what I'm doing because of that breakpoint. The amulet is going to be crafted. That's going to be your best bet. You're going to want to get either 20% or around 18% if you're trying to do what I'm doing in the video here for the 102% faster cast rate. So +2 to Assassin, 18 to 20% faster cast rate, and then some nice other mods would be really, really nice as well. Otherwise, you're not going to break it and you'll be at the lower cast rate. Now, some people like that. Some people find that better. That's just not my thing. Next up, we have Enigma. Obviously, we need Teleport. Double upped Gore Riders. I highly recommend these, or Natalia's Boots specifically. Those two are really, really good. You could do Goblin Toe if you want to. Has some Crushing Blow on it. That's always nice as well. For the rings, I have faster cast rate Leech Rings. We've got 5% life and 6% mana on the other one. This is also for the breakpoint, but also a little bit of Leech helps when you're doing it, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. We also have Spiderweb Sash and Mage Fists. Again, we got to break that breakpoint, so that's what we're using. If you weren't doing that, you could use other items if you wanted to replace those if you're not going for it. But this build, in my opinion, is the way to go. Teleporting faster and getting around quicker is just, I don't know, it just feels better. So I recommend that. These gloves here, you could use these if you wanted to. 2 to martial arts, 20% faster increased attack speed, or something along that line instead if you weren't using that. We've got Annihilus, Geeds, Hellfire Torch, random assorted small charms to keep my resistances up. We are going to use Fade, but our resistances are still very, very low. Mosaic doesn't provide any resistances whatsoever. On the Switch, we've got Call to Arms. We have Spirit. Those are pretty standard fare for any character, really, that isn't Barbarian. Put enough strength and dexterity to use your items and then dump the rest into Vitality. Like I said, we're not going to have a lot of resistance. We also don't have a lot of Magic Find, but that tends to be okay. Skills-wise, we're not going to put any points into traps. We're going to put 1 into Claw Mastery, 1 into Weapon Block. You can put more at the end once you have everything maxed out. I maxed out Fade because this is going to help with our resistances and physical damage reduction. Fade is just really, really good. And of course, it reduces curses as well. I highly recommend maxing out Fade specifically for that purpose. And then with Fists of Fire, this is kind of a sticking point. Now, I would say if you want Leech and you want to use Cobra Strike, stay below 19 points. You're not doing that much physical damage as it is, and Fists of Fire converts physical damage into fire damage. So if you're wanting to leech off of monsters, put around 19 points into this and just leave it at that. Especially if you're going to use Cobra Strike, that's really important because you won't get any leech if it's being converted. You're going to max out Claws of Thunder, you're going to max out Phoenix Strike, and you're going to max out Blades of Ice. And those are your primary charges for your skills. Don't forget to put 1 point into Dragon Talon as well. That's going to be our finishing move. That's probably the best one. That's what everybody seems to be using. I use it as well. It works really well. Our mercenary is a Holy Freeze mercenary. We're a melee character. Having Holy Freeze makes sense. Slowing enemies down makes them easier to hit. Eth Fortitude. We're also using a Cure Demon Head. It's not Eth. You'd probably want an Eth one if you can get one. But this helps with poison reduction specifically. And of course Infinity. Now you don't have to use Infinity. You could use Insight instead if you wanted to. That helps a lot if you're going to be teleporting around quite a bit. However, Infinity is by far going to deal more damage and give you quicker kills on monsters when you're hitting them. Now you don't need that with Mosaic because you're ridiculously, in my opinion, overpowered anyway. But if you use Infinity, that's going to be your best damage dealer for your mercenary and for you. And then last part of this video is just going to be me showing you basically how I use the character. The skill choice that I do in the order that I do it, some people would probably do it a little bit differently, but I've found it doesn't really matter. I like to use Phoenix Strike starting off and then use the other skills later so that I don't get too many points. You want 2 charges on Phoenix Strike, that's the lightning, especially if you're using Gryphs. And then you can max out all the other charges with everything else that you're using. So that's what I'm going to do here. And I'm going to do a bail run so you can see it. If you like the video, please like and subscribe as usual.